Hey everyone, Voodoo here. So in today's video, I'll be giving you guys a overview of Havoc Demon Hunter in the upcoming raid, Aberrus the Shadow Crucible. Now, before we get to that, a few things I want to mention. First, I was unable to test a lot of these bosses personally myself because of just scheduling conflicts with work and stuff like that. But shout out to KALAMAZI and Hopeful, who are these sources I've used for footage you'll see in this video. Big shout out to them. Secondly, if you enjoy the content, hit a like, leave a comment down below about which boss you think is your favorite, which one looks the most fun, as well hit the sub button, help me grow the channel. We're so close to 5K, might even pass it by the time you see this video, so that is sick. Really enjoy it. Scroll down to the description, become a channel member, help support me. Best way to support me making content, as well you get some cool perks. That out of the way, let's move on to the video. Hope you guys enjoy. So the way I'm going to do this is going to be a little bit different. I had this other video that I actually just wrapped, where I went through every boss, talked about mechanics, talked about everything. I thought it was just too long and random. So instead, we're going to group bosses kind of based on the damage profiles, and I'll talk about how we're going to do those. So first up, we're going to talk about the single target bosses. Those are going to be, honestly, a lot of the bosses in the raid. The Kazzara, it's going to be the Amalgamation Chamber, it's going to be Rashok, it's going to be Magmorax. Those are all the primarily single target ones. So these bosses, I do think Havoc are going to be performed pretty subpar at. I think each of them were pretty good at dealing with mechanics. We're pretty good at living. Lots of magic damage going on for each of them. Lots of different things happening where Havoc themselves can perform pretty well in terms of like mechanics and doing good things for the raid. But in terms of like damage and stuff like that, I don't think will be that great. On each of these, I expect we're going to end up playing probably one of two builds. So this is our kind of pure single target serrated glaze build that's been come up with pretty recently. It's really good on like a sustained single target profile. So I do think it'll be pretty good on all of the fights. Maybe not on the Amalgamation Chamber because of the way that boss works, where you kind of kill two of them and they form into one. But overall, I think that'll be pretty good. On other fights, you probably end up seeing this one if you value the burst damage, because there is just like a lot of burst damage with this kind of a toolkit with Restless Hunter on pull. But overall, I do think Havoc will probably be the worst on these fights. We'll be very good at dealing with mechanics, very good at living. But all in all, they're all single target boss fights that end up having us be forced away from the boss for some form or another. Kazzara has the random laser beams. Amalgamation Chamber has us possibly clearing, has us dodging stuff. Rashok has random targeting with the lava thing, has soaking. It has things like going to clear in the middle. The Magmorax has us clearing puddles, has a knockback. So all of these bosses kind of have ways of forcing us out of melee, which does affect our uptime, does affect how good we are able to do on those bosses. So a little bit disappointing there. I don't think we'll be very good on these. Havoc definitely needs some single target buffs, but overall we could be pretty good at dealing with mechanics and just living, but damage will probably be a little bit bottom fragging. Next up, I want to talk about the Forgotten Experiments boss by itself, because this is kind of going to be the premier two-target cleave fight of the tier. Basically, there are three bosses. As you get each one to 50% HP, the next one comes out and joins. So you'll be fighting one target for a few times, and then you'll be fighting two targets as well. So I don't think this fight will be very good for Havoc either. I think we'll be very good at dealing with the burst adds that get dispelled in P2. These little like, this dot gets put on you, you dispel them, it does a big explosion, and then someone's adds and need to die. We're very good at dealing with that. It'll be like stacked like 5 targets or something like that. So that'll be very strong for us. But all in all, single target damage and two target cleave damage is not our strong suit at all. We'll be good at dealing with the orbs in P3 because we're able to move around quickly, kick them back pretty rapidly as well, and just kind of be able to soak them up and be tanky with them. I think you probably play something like this in terms of damage. If the cleave is really important, then you could end up playing something like GT, so something along the lines of this build here I could see happening. If the adds are really, really important, then I could also see us playing kind of a raid cleave build here. Although I don't think we'll end up getting that much value out of something like Ragefire or something like all of our glaives in this one. This build might not end up being the way to go, but something along the lines of either single target or glaive tempest, or potentially this build if the adds last long enough, could end up being very good for you, end up netting you a lot of damage. But again, single target and two target cleave is not Havoc's strong suit, so I don't think we'll be that good at it. So next, I want to touch on the primarily single target fights with kind of burst cleave. There's a few of them. Now, I'm not going to mention the last boss here because we don't really know what's happening there. But this will primarily be Zskarn as well as Neltharion, Echo of Neltharion. So Zskarn, first off, purely single target. Havoc will be very good at dealing with the mechanics in there again, dodging waves, clearing traps because we're so mobile. That boss is going to have a bunch of ads that spawn, and there's two ways to deal with them. You can CC them all and then grip one in and kill it down, or you can kind of bring them all in to one clump and just burst AoE them. If you're doing the burst AoE strat, Havoc will be very good at dealing with those ads, kind of like a Windwalker monk has been in the past, kind of bursting down all those ads, eye-beaming, death sweeping, stuff like that. You're going to be very good at dealing with that while not sacrificing too much boss damage. So I do think Havoc has the opportunity to be well there. Again, doing well in context of Havoc's tuning is not great. I don't think we'll ever be topping the meters comparatively, but it is a place where our kit can shine a little bit. In Echo of Neltharion, there's lots of LOSing and stuff that forces away from the boss, lots of forced downtime. So that is definitely a detriment. I don't think it would do well in P1 or P2 at all. P1 has you kick through these walls and got LOS behind them. There's lots of time where you're not actually able to hit a boss if you get targeted by stuff. P2 has basically 2-target cleave, which again, Havoc is not the best at. P3, which nobody has ever actually seen, so no one's actually sure what happens in it, is kind of going to be the place where Havoc might be the best, because there might be these tons of little ads that need to die that spawn. Now, will these ads be super important? Yes and no. It'll be a bit patty, honestly, in my opinion, but Havoc is well situated to pad on those ads, which might inflate our numbers a bit. That's kind of all really happening on that boss, though. Mostly single target, some 2-target cleave, lots of downtime. So that all doesn't really fit very well to Havoc's profile. So I'm a little worried about that, a little worried about how that could end up happening. But again, we'll see. I do think overall Havoc is a decent spot there because, again, we're very survivable, which is very good. But I just don't think our damage profile works out the best there. We got 2 more fights to talk about. Now I'm going to talk about Havoc's best fight first, and then we'll cover the end boss at the end because it's kind of speculative. So, Assault of the Zaqali. Now, this is kind of the AoE fight. This is going to be Havoc's best fight by far. You fight one boss for about 20% of the HP, then you split into 2 groups. The boss keeps jumping from side to side. You got to kill him, as well as killing a bunch of ads. Havoc will do the best tier out of any fight in this tier because of all the ads you have to kill. This is just really good for Havoc. Probably end up playing some form of AoE build, maybe a Glaive Tempest build if you need boss damage, but probably AoE based. This will just be the best for you. It's not really a hard fight, right? It's the second fight in the instance. Nothing too big to write home about. Nothing too important to really end up mattering too much. But it being the second fight isn't necessarily a bad thing. Havoc will be the best at this. We're able to round quickly for rocks if we need to throw rocks off the edge to stop things. We're able to do burst damage to ads. We're able to funnel some of that damage into the boss with throw glaive and stuff like that. We're going to be very tanky in the end as well in P2 or P3, whatever, where he's trying to assault the door. We'll be good at soaking. We'll be good at just fire damage. So that'll be good for us. This will be our best fight by far. I don't think we'll be like top meters on this fight or anything. I do think that a lot of range classes with better single target, with more ability to hit both sides at once, with more ability to just kind of do everything, will end up being better here. But I do think this will be Havoc's best fight. So, look forward to this one. It's an early boss, though, so don't expect anything crazy. Okay, so finally we come to the last boss. Now, the thing with the last boss is that it's untested completely. So in P1, it's a purely single target fight, where you're kind of dealing with a pressing howl and kind of getting hit by abilities so you don't get stunned, which Havoc will do fine at. As long as you're not getting stunned, fine. Let me just turn down my audio a bit. Apologies here. Oh, where was I? Yeah, so P1, single target, fine, whatever. Now, P2 and P3 is where it gets interesting because of these empty recollections and null glimmers. Now, we don't know how many of these are spawning, but basically, the boss will use abilities and leave behind these ads. They're going to heal, so you have to kind of get rid of them in Desolate Blossom. And then they need to be DPS down and kind of killed. I guess Empty Recollection will hit tanks, and Null Glimmer will just be AoE. But if this AoE is important at all, then Havoc will find itself in a good spot to deal with this, since that Burst Cleave is kind of why we're very strong, right? It's like similar to something like Raz. We're very good at dealing with the ad platforms, with the ads in P5. Just something we're very good at. So with this AoE damage, could see us doing pretty well on this boss. In P3, there are ads as well. They're less important than P2. They're less of the focus, but they're still there. P3 is kind of just like a crazy thing. There's like lines, there's like LOSing you have to do, which is never good for us, right? Because it's forced downtime. But overall, I do think on this last boss, just reading through the dungeon journal here, with these ads, I do think we can perform pretty well and end up in a decent enough spot overall on this boss where it won't feel too bad. Now, I do think overall, as just a general trend, our single target is just so poor, we're going to need buffs of some kind. But pound for pound on these fights with this kind of burst AoE cleave, we can end up performing better and end up doing well enough where we're going to warrant ourselves kind of getting a spot, or at least warrant where you're not feeling too far behind. And then that's kind of going to be the general theme of the raid for Havoc. So just ending off the video here with my thoughts in general, a lot of this raid is going to be a single target, which will cause Havoc to kind of drop off the face of the earth in terms of damage. Our single target is not good. There are some fights where we can end up doing pretty well. The last two fights do have the opportunity for Havoc to shine a little bit in certain scenarios with their burst cleave, which can end up doing well. Now, we'll see. Again, we haven't tested P3 of Neltharion, to my knowledge. Maybe World First has, but normal people have not tested that, and nobody has tested the final boss. So we'll see what ends up happening. We don't know if that will really be how it's presented in the dungeon journal or not. So we'll see on that front, but there is the opportunity there for Havoc to do well. I do think overall, though, we do need some single target buffs. It's not going to be pretty. A lot of this tier are primarily single target, pure ST, or pure ST with some like cleave popped in, like low target cleave. So not too excited for where Havoc will end up. I do think we'll get buffed in the first few weeks, which is going to be exciting. That'll be fun. But all in all, I am excited for the raid. I think the raid is very sick. However, I don't think Havoc will be the best spot it's ever been in. I think we're going to be in the raid for Brand, basically, and that's about it. But we'll see overall. You know, I'm still excited for next tier. I think it's going to be very fun. But with that, that is going to be the video for today. So if you enjoyed the content, drop a like. Leave a comment down below. I'm curious what fight you guys think is your favorite. Personally, I'm excited for Rashok. I think it'll be very fun, very sludge fisty. And if you enjoy the content, drop a sub. I'll have tons more content. I'm going to expand a bit from Havoc as well, hoping to next tier, but still have tons of Havoc stuff as well. And if you enjoy my content, you want to help support me, help me make my living, then scroll down, become a channel member. You get access to a ton of cool perks and help to support me make more content for you guys. So with that, I'm going to end off the video here. I'll have a stream tomorrow and another video Friday. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the day. I'll see you guys then. Peace.